We are following the breaking news on the battle for control of Kyiv. It is 11 a.m. in the Ukrainian capital, and residents are waking up to scenes like this. An apartment building damaged by what the foreign minister says was a Russian missile strike. Ukrainian officials sharing this video of people being rescued from that building. Russia acknowledges that it has been carrying out strikes, but claims it is targeting only military infrastructure and not residential buildings. Meanwhile, Ukraine's president sharing this defiant message in the face of advancing Russian troops. Here he is.
Good morning, Ukrainians. Currently, there are a lot of games appearing on the internet, like that I am asking our army to put down arms and evacuate. So I am here. We are not putting down arms. We will be defending our country because our weapon is truth. And our truth is that this is our land, our country, our children, and we will defend all of this. That is it. That is all I wanted to tell you. Glory to Ukraine.
Blasts like that lit up the skies of Kyiv overnight. Ukraine says some of the explosions were from operations targeting Russian tanks. Gunfire also erupting in the early morning hours. Here's how it played out live on CNN earlier while Alex Marquardt was reporting.
Come look.
Not one, but several bursts of gunfire. Now, the reason that you were able to hear it down the line, that we were able to hear it having just stepped inside, was that it really was quite loud. That was not small arms fire. That appeared to be some kind of anti-aircraft fire. I came out here as soon as we started hearing it, and looking out into the sky, you could see the tracer rounds going up. It's something that I've seen before elsewhere. We have not heard explosions in quite some time, but it is clear that fighting is going on all around this city.
Now, the fighting, of course, extends far beyond Kyiv as we enter day 3 of Russia's invasion, launched from 3 sides of Ukraine. Have a look at the aftermath of fighting. This is in the eastern city of Kharkiv, near the Russian border. And Ukrainian troops have also been battling Russians in Kherson. That's near the border with Crimea in the south. And this just in from France. President Emmanuel Macron warning that the world should not expect, quote, this brutality to end soon. He says the war in Ukraine will last, and he says all the crises that come with it will have lasting consequences. CNN has correspondents positioned across Ukraine and all around the world to bring you the latest on this breaking news. Anna Stewart is covering sanctions from London. Scott McLean is at a train station on the Polish side of the border. And CNN contributor Jill Doherty has details from Moscow. Fred Pleitgen, joins me now from the Belgorod region of Russia, where Russian troops have been crossing into Ukraine. Jasmine Wright is covering White House reaction from Washington. Fred, let's begin with you. What is going on there where you are?
Well, there's still a lot of action here, a lot of movement here at the final checkpoint before the sort of Kharkiv front line. I'll get out of your way and you can see the checkpoint is sort of, I would say, around 200-300 meters that way. You'll notice, Michael, that the past couple of days we've actually been able to get closer to that checkpoint. The Russian, however, this morning are saying that they want us to stand further away. What we do have here still on the ground is a lot of movement of military vehicles. They've been going past us throughout the entire morning that we've been here. We've seen a lot of infantry fighting vehicles go towards the road to Kharkiv. The road to Kharkiv sort of goes that way. And there's a lot of, as I said, a lot of Russian armor going that way. We've also seen a few ambulances sort of race down in that direction. Whether or not that means that the Russians may have been taking casualties on the Kharkiv front line at this point in time, we simply cannot say. But that's sort of one of the observations that we've been making, is that we have seen some ambulances go down there. And then also, Michael, quite frankly, a lot of soldiers also now being moved into that area as well. We saw a lot of armored vehicles the past couple of days. Now it seems a lot of personnel and a lot of support vehicles also going towards the front line in Kharkiv. And of course, on top of that, you still have the big military operations from the air also. We're hearing jets in the sky pretty regularly, and then also rocket fire as well, Michael.
And Fred, before I let you go, I mean, have you been able to interact with those Russian forces or commanders or anyone and get a sense of their morale, how they're feeling going in?
It's impossible to say. No one down here, the Russian forces certainly aren't speaking to us. It certainly looks to us as though they understand that they're in the beginning stages of an operation right now. And one of the other things that we have to point out, Michael, is that the Russian forces that are around here in the Belgorod region, again, this is the sort of area around the Kharkiv front line, they certainly seem to be in a position to escalate a lot further. If you go around the villages, around the area here, you'll find Russian forces in almost all of those. In fact, there was one small village that we went through where there were howitzers standing in the middle of the street, and the street was almost too small to even take that. So it certainly seems to us as though there are enough Russian forces here to drastically further escalate the situation should they run into big problems as they move forward sort of into Ukrainian territory, at least here on the Kharkiv front line. We see a lot of soldiers, we see a lot of trucks, we see a lot of infantry fighting vehicles that are still here on the Russian side, but of course can be brought over towards the front line at any point in time, Michael.
All right, great reporting. Good to get some insight from where you are, Fred. Jasmine, at the White House, what does the White House know as it monitors what's been happening in Kyiv overnight hours?
Well, Michael, the president is getting regular updates and staying in close touch with his national security team as he spends the weekend at his home in Delaware. That's what one White House official told me a short time ago. But no doubt they are watching the developments happening overnight, likely looking at it with a lot of concern. We know that over the past few weeks, they have issued those really grave and intensifying warnings about what could happen in Ukraine. And now we're seeing some of those predictions that were created because of that U.S. intelligence really come into focus here. And so officials, of course, are worried about Ukraine and the stability of the government, of course, the Ukrainian people, but also worried about President Zelensky as he says that he stays in Ukraine. And now we know that President Zelensky and President Biden had a phone call today, about 40 minutes is what the White House told us after it was done. And in a readout, they said that President Biden commended the Ukrainian people for fighting for their country and also spoke to President Zelensky about defensive assistance and support. And after that phone call, we learned just a few hours ago that President Biden instructed the State Department to release up to $350 million for defensive assistance for Ukraine, really trying to up that support for Ukraine as it fights for its sovereignty. And it's a third of such payment, really trying to make sure that Ukraine has enough to get through these really intense times. So when we talk about going forward here, we know that the president will have a call in the morning with his national security team, with the vice president, really trying to get updates on what's happening on the ground as these are really intense moments that the president is trying to show real strength in.
All right, Jasmine Wright, our thanks to you there in Washington, D.C. Fred Pleiken on the Russian side of the border in Belgorod, thanks so much for your reporting as well.